closed the door and left me blind by the light. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, it's always someone else I see.
Good morning. This is KQCK Live Radio, and this is Joe Sr. filling in for Joe. He's not around, so I have to fill in for him, and we have a special guest this morning, and her name is Christine Jones, attorney. And Christine, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me. It's really generous of you to put me on the one day you're filling in for your son.
Yes, I am, and I want to give a little bio on you, and just to have our listeners know how you come across as an executive for the Arizona Research Project. Christine was GoDaddy's first in-house lawyer and built their legal department from the ground up, all phases of GoDaddy's business. She's testified many times in Washington, D.C. before congressional committees on many issues. If you ever want to speak with Attorney Jones, you can get her on Twitter at Attorney Jones, and any internet-related legal topic she will speak to you about. She worked for the District Attorney's Office in Los Angeles before her private practice. She has a degree in accounting, of B of A, in science, University of Auburn. She's a lawyer with a Juris Doctors from Whittier Law School and also a CPA. She is a noted speaker for several nonprofit organizations on many issues. As a matter of fact, I have to add this in. A good friend of mine told me the other day he went to a presentation with Attorney Jones, and it was the best presentation he ever heard in his entire life. I thought that was quite a nice statement. Now
that is one of the most remarkable things I've ever heard said.
Really, but that's the truth. I didn't make it up. You can't make up things like that. When somebody tells you that, you know you got the right person for the right job, that's for sure. Anyway, she's executive director now of Arizona Research Project, a nonprofit identifying issues important to all voters, totally nonpartisan. So as to engage legislators to shape public policy, she collects and analyzes and models information for all voters to put into messages that the voters can understand when they go to the polls. Now, that's the basis of her bio, and now I'm going to introduce Attorney Christine Jones. Christine?
Hey, thanks so much, Joe. You know, I confess I sent out a tweet a minute ago to say that I was going to be on the radio with you, and I think I called you Jim.
Well, that's okay.
I apologize for that. I do know your name, and I know your son's name, so
yeah,
it's a pleasure to be here.
All right.
Here's what we found out. I was at GoDaddy for a long time, and that was a really fun practice as an attorney, as you can imagine, because we were doing really great stuff. We were making great products and getting a lot of small businesses online and helping them start business and hire people, and all of that was really great and a real pleasure to be able to do it. And when I left there about a year ago, I started getting involved in some policy and campaign issues here in Arizona, and it became clear pretty quick that the people in Arizona were not particularly happy or enthusiastic about all of their elected officials. And people have their favorites, and there are a handful that are well-liked, but across the board we found that there were some dissatisfaction. So I did start this Arizona Research Project, which you described a minute ago. It's a nonprofit company that I formed in January. And what we're doing is basically going out and trying to identify issues that are important to voters so that they can have a voice and they can pick their representation and they can understand how to become involved and to socialize messages that are the most meaningful to people where they exist. And we've been at this for about 6 months now, and I tell you what, we have learned some really interesting stuff. And this may be why your friend the other night had such a good time at this conversation that I had with them, because what we know now, which I only suspected at the beginning of this project, is that people really are disappointed and dissatisfied. And today was a great day to be having this conversation with you, because if you look at what's going on down at the legislature, people are really dissatisfied. And so we're just having a great time over here, and I'd love to get into some of the specifics with you, but we're having a great time going out and talking to people, talking to voters, understanding what their issues are, and then figuring out what's the best way for us to put the decisions about who represents voters back in their hands, put the voice back in their hands, so that when you really say you're electing a representative, that person really does represent you. So that's kind of what we're doing over here, and we're having a great time.
You know, may I ask you a question, Christine?
You bet.
I noticed in Washington there's a lot in the Republican parties, there's a lot of infighting. Is this infighting got something to do with what you're trying to do and get the voters to notice this kind of thing?
I think that's a very astute observation, and we have seen that a lot as we've traveled around. And frankly, I think within the party system,